For cycles, we've been at war with the Flen. A bloody war the galactic community thought too low of a squabble to interfere in. Even when disregarded, the war resulted in the deaths of billions. Our war, to them, was only the war of two backwater starfaring nations. Too far away to help, yet close enough to tax. Utter rubbish, if you ask me. But how can we even demand our rights to be upheld when our fleets are being torn apart, our world's burning? I've heard stories that the galactic community supposedly thought of raising the monthly fee they demand like overlords, all in the name of better protecting us. I wonder where that protection was when Eidolon 7 burned. Where were our defenders when one of our core worlds, Holon 2, was fractured and torn asunder, with those still unfortunate enough to be on it destined to suffer horrific deaths? Our politicians made one last plea recently. One last cry before our entire people may just end up cast into the void by the Flen. The news on this meeting was quiet at first. Nobody expected anything. Nothing had happened for cycles from these pointless, pathetic shows the community puts on. However, on some news broadcasts, there were stories of a new member of the community. Human, or something along those lines. Another to ignore our desperate begging, all while lining their pockets to be sure. Our politicians have returned with tears streaming down their faces as finally, someone would come to their aid. The people didn't seem to believe it, most certainly not me. Not after being in so many pointless last stands, seeing how overwhelmingly we were losing to the Flen. How could this newer nation even assist us this far gone? We wouldn't even be able to repay them for it. My thoughts continued into this downward spiral even more so as I was shipped out to another core world under attack, Helio. It didn't have a number designation. This was a true home planet to us, one I didn't mind dying on, even if it was worthless in the end. A quarter into the cycle of my shipment out to Helio, and I'm now in a trench, taking pot shots at the Flen as their weapons of war approach us. The disadvantage we have against them is laughable. We were never good with war, so we gave up on it as a species, focused on other things. See how far that got us now. Shit. Enough monologuing. The Flen are coming. Sergeant Yearn! My name was called out by my commander as he trudged towards me, his hooves nimbly finding their way through the muddy trench. I hear we've got reinforcements coming. We should only have to hold out for another hour at the least. My heart sank. Another hour? Of this? The sounds of weapons fire and explosions caused my ears to ring, and my antenna to shrink down. Yet even while my body was growing concerned for its survival, I was mentally used to this by now. Another hour, sir. There's just no way we can hold out for that long. The Flen... Sergeant, I know. We just have to do what we can for this 1 hour, and pray to the stars it's enough. My commander spoke in a tired voice and lifted himself briefly over the trench, firing off a few pot shots. It resulted in an intense explosion, and I was worried one of the war machines of the Flen had returned fire, so I snapped my head up to look at my commander. He was still there, however. His face had become slack, his eyes wide with surprise. The explosion rang out, again and again, the entire battlefield before my eyes had turned to plumes of smoke and shrapnel. The explosions didn't seem to be letting up either, and as I turned my gaze to the sky, it was darkened. I was horrified. The sky only darkened in such a way when something was about to damage the very planet. Commander, the sky is darkening. The commander looked up, yet he didn't seem afraid. In fact, he seemed confused. Not like that, Sergeant. I've seen those skies before. This is far different. And early. They said an hour. Just as he finished speaking, a bipedal creature jumped in. I was too shocked to even try to point my gun at the creature, who soon spoke. An hour? Holy hell, did you guys mistranslate us or what? We told your high command it'd take about 10 minutes to get set up, and another 5 to get boots on the ground over here. The creature seemed disgruntled, and only then did I find my voice. You're a human. One of the new members of the community. Why are you... My voice trailed off, deafened by the sound of the explosions. When will those ever stop? Yup, I'm what you'd call a human. Though that whole community thing is just for show, so these slummy bastards will leave us alone. How can we truly side with pricks who leave entire worlds to burn like this? The human's face contorted. His eyes were filled with anger strong enough to cause not just me, but even my commander to backpedal a few steps. He seemed to notice and raised his hands. Forgive me. I heard Xenos can be a bit flaky when presented with the full brunt of our emotions like that. Don't worry, we're on your side. So is that. He pointed to the explosions as they seemed to finally cease. Ship-to-surface bombardment with weaponry we've used for centuries. Massive guns always get the job done. Or as it's called on the ground, artillery. These, what were they? Flen? Yeah. They don't stand a chance. The creature seemed to puff out its chest before taking on a more focused look, as it seemed to receive communications. We can't stand around anymore. That first volley was a test run to see how well it fared with this atmosphere, and if the planet could handle more. Get everyone to leave these trenches and fall back to your nearest base. Those shells are about to get a lot bigger.